this is Greg Allison with Green Gregs coming to you on the 30th day of May, 2021. Time on deck, 5800 hours Central Daylight Time. Many of you may or may not know that China has been putting tariffs and trade sanctions on Australia to the tune of $20 billion. And now China has actually threatened Australia. What does this mean? Well, many of you are from Australia. Many of my followers are from Australia. Australia is a something of an allied nation with the United States. In fact, we have an alliance called ANZUS. It's not exactly binding, but it's close. Maybe it's somewhat ambiguous. Not quite as much as our so-called understanding with Taiwan. But wow, guys, what's happening? What's cooking? Where's this going? That's what I'm going to talk about here. That's where we're going. But first, I want to say, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and bang the update notification bell and click all, because I keep bringing you stories about what's going on in the world so that you can know that you need to prepare. And my eyes wide open and head on a swivel series is what you need. You need your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And I'm trying to help you with that, guys. I'm bringing you stuff that you often don't get in American news for those of you that are American or in other places. Australians know what I'm about to talk about, but they'll probably be interested in an American take on it. So we're going to get into this. It's important. Australians are our friends, if you haven't noticed. Besides, what will we do without Outback restaurants, right? No, it's more than that. This is serious, guys. It is really serious. Now, I also bring you videos on how to eat from the weeds and trees, things that are free, to grow your own gardens. I impel you to grow your own food. But in this day and age where we're having so much uncertainty internationally, so much tension, and domestically within our own countries, and in which we face new perils like the sun waking up again as our magnetic field strength is dropping, which may imperil our power grid, along with potential conflicts and many other things which could put our power grid in peril, and economic strife that we're seeing today with potential new inflation and other stresses upon our world economy. My friends, if you haven't figured out you need to be prepping by now, don't know where your heads have been. But bear in mind, I do have a special offer. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, prepwithgreg.com, you can get $200 off a 3-month food supply that lasts 25 years. 3 months that lasts 25 years, $200 off, man. That is a great deal. You get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day with desserts and drinks that'll make you a winner and help keep starvation away. My friends, also you can go in and to click on the big My Patriot Supply logo on prepwithgreg.com, and you can get all kind of other prepping deals, prepping supplies, but you'll find the great deal that I just mentioned on prepwithgreg.com, not on our main website, but you can click there. My friends, you got to bear in mind, we are in a lot of adversity today, but that is a great deal, and those are easily carry containers. You get 6 of those. A kid can carry them around because they are dehydrated, but they make real food, real meals. All right, so let's get on into our story. Like I said, China has been making threats. The particular deals is that China has actually imposed, as many of you may know, $20 billion of trade tariffs on Australia. Why? Because Australia just had the nerve to ask for a global inquiry into the recent pandemic that's going around. They want to know what caused it. What is so bad about that? You know, makes China look a little guilty to impose such punitive measures on a country for asking for something so simple. If they have nothing to hide, why don't they just open the doors? Why do they have to get so vindictive? It seems to be the nature of China already. Bully, vindictive. Well, also China, as you might know, suffered over the decisions from Australia to cancel Huawei's rollout into Australia of their 5G system. and in fact, Australia implemented world-leading foreign interference legislation, because it seems that Huawei was really setting up a highway of spying and intel going through this new communication system to Beijing. At least that's what has been alleged, be it true or not. But the most recent spate really goes back to Taiwan. Taiwan. Indeed, what you may not be aware of is that earlier this month, month of May, Chinese state media told Australia it'd be the first hit in any potential clashes over Taiwan if Australia continues to meddle in Chinese affairs, whatever that means. So those remarks came after some exercises between Taiwan, the U.S., and France in the East China Sea. Why they say that? Because Australia is maybe the weaker partner of the group. Maybe that's why. But would they really do that? Good question. Good question. So something else to bear in mind is that China's defense ministry labeled Australian government's warning over Taiwan as irresponsible and as inciting confrontation over that democratic island. Excuse me, that was Chinese talk. Now, bear in mind, people in Australia are concerned about Taiwan because Taiwan is a fellow democracy. It is a bulwark against authoritarianism. And Australia kind of identifies them because they're very similar in population. Australia has 25.36 million people, and Taiwan has 23.57 million people. Very close in population. So a lot of people in Australia say, well, if they can take Taiwan, what's going to keep them from taking us next? You know, Australia is a big, juicy target, big land, but same number of people. Be easier actually to conduct landings there, possibly. You know, by comparison, you know, here in North America, Canada's population is 37.59 million, slightly less than the state of California. I got a good friend in Canada who always likes to point out Canada's low population for whatever that's worth. But that's another big land. But Trudeau seems not to be concerned about it. No, Trudeau, he don't care. I'm not Canadian, but if I was Canadian, I think my motto would be Trudeau needs to go. But I'm not Canadian, so don't matter. Okay, so let's kind of get back into it here. The People's Liberation Army, made a lot of pointed responses to Australia. They said things like, Australia's military is too weak to be a worthy opponent of China. And if it dares interfere with military conflict, for example, in the Taiwan Straits, its forces will be the first to be hit. This is later. This is a later clarification. Australia is within range of China's DF-26 intermediate range ballistic missiles, not the intercontinental ballistic, the intermediate range. This is what China said to Australia. Wow. And those are actual quotes. From a statement that China had put out in the Global Times, which is their official mouthpiece, warning Australia. Okay, that's just nice and peachy words, right? So they went on to say, we express strong dissatisfaction and resolute opposition to the recent provocative actions on Taiwan-related issues by Australia. So there you go. Recently, Australia has taken a series of provocative actions, and some people have even incited confrontation and exaggerated the threat of war on Taiwan-related issues. Such actions are incredibly irresponsible, says the Chinese Communist Party. All right, so for whatever that is worth, that came from those last statements came from comments from the Defense Ministry spokesman, Senior Colonel Tan Kefei, K-E-F-E-I, however that's to be pronounced, in Beijing just last Thursday. Okay, but all this could be backfiring because it's just, even though that Australia's taking hard hits, $20 billion in a small economy like Australia is huge, but the Australians seem to be digging their heels in. The more China tugs on them, the more they dig in, because they seem to be, it's the opposite response that China was looking for. They were looking, if you coerce somebody, they'll cave into you. Instead, Australia's digging their heels. Aussies are tough, they like to fight out with crocodiles, remember? And every animal critter in Australia is poison. So Aussies are tough people. They're digging in. They're saying, hey, we can handle this pain. Maybe we want this pain. You know, they do believe in freedom and liberty down in Australia. So they're digging in even tighter and resolving to absorb the pain. Not only that, the United States seems to be sending a lot more military armaments and forward basing some of their own armaments in Australia under the Biden administration right now. In fact, the weapons shipments have soared as the tensions have soared into Australia. Not only that, there is talk now of basing the United States brand new being developed B-21 long-range stealth fighter, stealth bomber in Australia. Why? Well, it's the only real crewed long-range bomber that's currently under development by the U.S. Air Force, and it's planned to enter service later this decade. And the interesting thing is, even though it has 2 F-35 engines in it, it will have much farther range than F-35. In fact, from deep within Australia, which is probably more secure than a lot of our islands like Guam, it can reach any point in China without being refueled by a tanker. In fact, it can cover the Indo-Asian area without a need of any tanker. It has good range. So, yeah, suddenly Australia becomes a very attractive base for the U.S. B-21 bomber, stealth bomber. So, yeah, China has dug their heels in, and you know, but they're digging a hole, and maybe they can't stop digging a hole. They're getting deep. The first rule of digging a hole is quit digging a hole, so you don't get deeper and deeper into it. But they seem to be doing it with a lot of countries that are mounting resistance against China now. When I say China, I refer to the People's Republic of China as led by the Chinese Communist Party. And once again, let me distinguish that there are good people in every country, every nation, of every town, hamlet, province, of every countryside area. There are good people all over the world. Good people with good hearts that give you the shirt off the back. Smart people. You'll find smart people anywhere on the planet too. The problem is the governments that rule over them. Now, some of these governments take people off in strange directions into conflict with each other. And often it's a very sad, tragic state. So I'm not really talking about the people, I'm talking about the government. You have Chinese people in Taiwan and Chinese people in the People's Republic of China. The Republic of China, the People's Republic of China. 2 different nations. Yes, I said it. 2 separate nations. Taiwan was never under the rule of the People's Republic of China. The Republic of China predated these guys. These guys were the insurgents who took over mainland, and these guys fled to Taiwan to survive. So it never in any time was these guys under these guys, but they're both Chinese. So it's not a problem of being Chinese. It's an issue of liberty versus authoritarianism. Even the people within China, the Republic of China, the People's Republic of China, if they didn't have to deal with authoritarianism, they could accomplish far more than you might imagine, far more than they have, I would say, today. You know, I'm going to do an open letter to the people of China, to the even to the people's, even to the Chinese Communist Party members. Maybe not Xi Jinping. He probably won't listen to me. If he did, he would send people after me, right? Maybe he's already got a target on my back. I'm sure I'm not their best friend, but I think I'm going to do probably tomorrow night an open letter to the people of China, an appeal. Because you know what? There are people in China that listen to my podcasts. They're all over the world, you know. So just like I get people from Iran and many other countries listen, there'll be people in China. I mean, they comment sometimes in my comment sections, but it's not about the people. It's about the governments. It's about what they're doing, what their ambitions are. The ambitions of guys like Xi Jinping, promises they made, and where it can lead. And it's not a pretty picture. So bear all that in mind. Australia, though, finds himself at risk, but Australia's got a backbone. They're not caving. Nope, they're digging in. But we're also allied with Australia. Let's hope it don't lead to a conflict. That is my main hope. But it could. and since it could draw us in, and since there's so many powder keg flashpoints over there with Taiwan, may possibly attack on Guam, which is a United States territory. United States citizens living there. Everybody in Guam is a citizen of the United States of America, and we have large military bases over there in Guam. I said Taiwan, I meant Guam. Anyway, so there's China, Japan. We're in treaty organization with, definitely a strong treaty organization with Japan. South Korea. See, all these areas could be flashpoints. A lot could happen. To Philippines. All right, so there you go, my friends. We are in very uncertain times and very uncertain waters, and it just pays to prepare. It really does. And besides that, it's a darn good investment with inflation going where it is. Food you can get today with those kind of prices, 25 years from now, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, might be found to be a bargain. You might just be glad to have anything at all if nothing else happens. All right, my friends, I always believe in a power of prayer. So I always say I believe in praying for the best, hoping for the best, or prepare for the worst. So that's it, my friends. With that, I'm going to say take care. Hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend. Remember the troops that have fallen to maintain our freedom. We often forget that. So many troops have fallen to maintain our freedom. And we've had a lot of law enforcement that's fallen to maintain peace, all right, irrespective of what you think about them. And, you know, a lot of our troops, you know, there's that old adage, you know, maybe our troops didn't know, well, I won't say it here, but a lot of our troops may not necessarily been serving a top prize of freedom, but they definitely thought they were. So anyway, war is not a lovely thing by any stretch of imagination. War is always ugly, my friends, always ugly. But you have to defend yourselves. All right, my friends. With all that, I'm gonna say thank you for watching.